Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Profitable Christian Business. Today's conversation is about something a lot of business owners are chasing: growth, but not just growth at any cost. We're talking about sustainable growth, healthy growth, growth that does not require you to lose yourself, your team, your culture, or your peace in the process. My guest today is Todd Krause, founder of Silver Sun Consulting and owner of the Cleaning Authority, where he grew the business from 1.8 million to more than 4 million while building a thriving workplace culture focused on people, performance, and long-term success. Todd brings a really unique background to this conversation. He has an MBA, he's a certified public accountant, an author, TEDx speaker, keynote presenter, and a business leader with more than 3 decades of experience growing organizations across multiple industries. He has founded and scaled fund administration firm managing more than $2 billion in assets under administration. He's helped launch and grow a major bank business unit that reached $14 billion in assets and now helps home service business owners solve the growth challenges that keep them stuck. But what I love about Todd's message is that it's not just about bigger numbers. It's about building businesses where people thrive, leaders lead well, and owners can grow without burning out or losing alignment. So today we're going to talk about leadership, culture, raising money, sustainable growth, and what it really takes to build a business that grows without costing you your life in the process. Todd, welcome to the Profitable Christian Business Podcast.
Thank you, Doug. Thank you so much for inviting me to be here.
Wow, that was quite a lot of accomplishments that you've done. I can't wait to dive into what seems like a vast amount of knowledge that you will have to help business owners grow. The way I like to start every Profitable Christian Business Podcast is to just kind of ask you just dive right in, getting to know you questions. So you've led businesses in finance, banking, franchising, consulting, and now home services. If we caught you on a completely non-business day, what will we find you doing?
A non-business day?
Yeah. So what are your hobbies?
Oh my gosh. I love kayaking.
Oh,
And I, a few years ago, took up photography. I made it through the maze of aperture, exposure, all that other stuff to where I can finally get a decent photograph. So
nice.
catching things out and about while kayaking have been really good. The water birds, the fish, just the scenery, that and cityscapes.
Nice. What part of the country do you live in?
I'm in the northeastern corner of Indianapolis.
Okay, nice. Is there a lot of good kayaking around where you are? You travel quite a bit for that.
I don't do a lot of traveling for it, but what they have done around the city is they have dammed up some of the rivers and created very, very large reservoirs that are miles and miles long.
Awesome.
So we've got one on both the east side, the west side, and to the north of us that you can spend hours and hours and hours just exploring.
One of my favorite memories of travel with me and my wife is we went out to Oregon and we rented kayaks, and there is I don't even remember the name of the river that we were on, but it was crystal clear, mountain water. Like you could see to the bottom, and kayaking down that was one of my favorite things I've ever done.
I've been to Oregon a few times, and I've always loved the country in the Pacific Northwest. And we just go back over and over and over again, especially to the Columbia River Gorge. And that whole area with the falls, Multnomah Falls, it can spend so much time there going from one falls to the next, and they're all so different.
Yeah. The Northwest is one of my favorite areas of the country. So really, really cool. So let's dive into business a little bit. You grew the Cleaning Authority from 1.8 million to over 4 million. What was one unexpected lesson you learned from leading a home service-based business that no one would have learned in a boardroom?
It is more than most people think. It's about the people. Happy cleaners lead to happy customers. Definitely not like leading a large financial organization at all. And it's always amazed me how customers can be hypersensitive to a few dollars on their cleaning fee.
So, with the cleaning authority, can you describe that business a little bit? Exactly what that business entails?
It is a franchise. It's part of the franchise brands owned by the authority brands. It's their flagship brand. It's primarily residential house cleaning.
Mm.
We have a rotation system where we clean the entire house, but on a recurring basis, different parts of the house get a deep cleaning each time we're there to maintain the house at a level of a deep clean. We operate in teams of 2. There will be 3 people when they're training. So a training team will have a third person along with them for a couple of weeks to train. But the normal pattern is a team of 2 will arrive at the house and they will work their way through the house systematically. They have a whole pattern that they move through the house and a pattern that they follow in each room. That is the system. That way we can send any team to any customer and their experience will be the same. So the real key there is how we make sure that we're detailing things and maintaining the extra deep clean. That'll distinguish us from the cleaning lady.
Yeah, I imagine systems, the whole franchise model, the reason it's successful is because they've built successful systems, right? And so once you are able to replicate those systems, is it easier to scale when you can replicate systems like that?
It absolutely is easier to scale. Not all franchises are created equally, though. Some franchisors will do so much more for their franchisees. Others are just lending their logo, their branding. So it can be vastly different from one to the other. And that's for somebody looking into franchises, that's something to pay close attention to.
With this particular type of business, the residential cleaning model, can we dive into referrals and like not just referral, like I want to talk about referrals a little bit and recurring business, right? Because the primary goal is to get the people having you come back, right? So can you talk a little bit about how you structure that?
Certainly. We've got, well, right up front, our franchisor, the Authority Brands, does so much for us. They help with the whole mailing campaigns, the online advertising. They have a vast library of resources that we tap into. We touch at least 10 to 13 or 14% of our customers every month. And we break it down because we know which people in a given zip code have enough household income to afford house cleaning. So we're able to target the people who can afford us rather than spending our money on people who would love to have their house cleaned, but it's just not in their budget.
Uh,
It's the typical marketing process. You have to touch them a number of times, and then we do an estimate for them. And most of the time, we sign them up for a recurring service. Well, we
I
never
want
turn down one-time only cleans, though, either.
I want to touch back on something you said because I feel like a lot of business owners get stuck here, and it's some of the reasons that they never succeed. You only went after the people you knew could afford your business. Knowing who your ideal client is key, right? I talk to people all the time that have been struggling, and then I find out like they're talking to people that don't have the money to buy their services.
That's a huge problem because there are a lot of people that you could maybe call tire kickers. They can look, but they can't afford.
Yeah,
Grow a business with those people.
yep. And then if you keep knocking on the same doors and getting same results, you're not going to go anywhere, right?
I mean, they'll be happy to talk to you when it comes down to price. Most of them will simply say, I can't afford that.
Do you have any insights in how to properly find your demographic? I guess for a better question, lack of a better question, how to properly find those people that can't afford your services?
In the home services world, it's based on income. There are marketing companies out there that have dialed in right down to the mail carrier route and can tell you what the income levels are on a mail carrier route. They can tell you which mail carrier routes are residential, which ones are commercial. There is a lot of data available. Now, if you're B2B, now you have to quickly identify which businesses are likely to have the income level where they can afford you. Somebody who's struggling, somebody who has a very tiny business is not going to be able to afford a higher priced service. Revenue is one of the first indicators. Do they appear to have enough revenue to afford your services? You can weed out a lot of people who are unlikely to be able to afford your services with a quick conversation about what is their level of revenue, what is their customer or client base, where are they having pain. Just a couple of quick questions like that can immediately put them in, yes, they could use my services, or I'm not so sure that they can afford it, or will want to pay the price category.
Yeah, sounds like you need to qualify quickly, right? Um, Qualify the prospect quickly, and then if they can't afford you, you just move on and qualify more more people. So
We could spend all day talking to people who will never be able to afford your services. It doesn't do anything to grow your business.
yeah, one thing we do as with my marketing agency is we do a lot of Google advertising, and there are certain zip codes, kind of like like you said, we will market to certain zip codes, but not others, because we know the people in those zip codes can afford the services that people in other zip codes cannot.
Well, Google is such a behemoth and has such a vast amount of data. They themselves are even looking at people's search patterns and what they're purchasing or not purchasing to zero in on who likely customers are. We've moved into that world a long time ago. Where
Yeah,
they're
and now with I'm sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
no, where we're identifying who likely customers are by their behaviors and their habits.
Yeah, I don't think anybody is quite ready for what's happening with AI right now, as far as being able to really dial in through the marketing, because the data, we do a lot of um, search engine optimization, not search engine optimization, but AI automation, meaning when people are using ChatGPT, they're searching for certain things, they're searching for answers, right? And now ChatGPT is giving them answers. So as a company, you want to be one of those answers that the AI is giving.
It has definitely changed the world we're living in, and we're having to rethink a lot of things. SEO, for example, because Google is summarizing answers to our searches, we're not clicking on websites like we used to before. So now companies are talking about optimizing for Google summarization.
Mm-hmm.
That's a mouthful. It basically means we want our name to somehow pop up when Google answers your question and mention that, well, XYZ company takes care of those type of things.
Yep. Yep. So good. We do something called the fill in the blank question on every Profitable Christian Business episode. So your fill in the blank question, I think, is really going to help a lot of people. So the biggest mistake business owners make when trying to grow is blank.
They try to go and do it on their own. Folks,
Mm.
there is just too much to know out there. We cannot possibly be an expert in everything. Ask for help. It shortens the learning curve. Yes, advice and help comes with a price tag, but making mistakes and grinding away at it for years longer than is necessary costs you a lot more than getting help and paying for some advice.
And opportunity, they struggle to find opportunity because they're afraid. Here's what, let me really get to what I'm trying to say. They have an objection. Usually the objection is they don't want to pay. They don't want to pay for mentorship. They don't want to pay for employees. They don't want to pay for an expert to help them. But all that time that they're not spending money, they're wasting it. They're in opportunity cost. They're losing opportunity cost every time that they're not willing to get help. Right?
Well, and well said. You're missing out on revenue, and revenue, part of it at least, drops to the bottom line as profit for you.
Let me ask you something. How many goals have you set that just slowly faded out? It's not because you lack motivation. It's not because you're lazy. It's because you don't have a system for execution. That's exactly why we built the Goal Getting app, the execution system for Christian entrepreneurs who are done drifting. Inside the app, you don't juggle 10 goals. You lock in one clear 90-day focus. Then we help you break it into weekly needle-moving actions, stay consistent with daily execution, and actually follow through, even when life gets busy. This isn't about doing more. It's about finally finishing what you start. Clarity, execution, momentum. If you're ready to stop drifting and actually move forward, go to goalgetting.app/reset and lock in your next 90 days today. Yeah. When you try that, again, kind of what you said, when you try and do it all yourself, you're by yourself. When you have a team, and you especially, I mean, we could really go down a rabbit hole of hiring, right? Hiring the right people on the bus on your team, because you want to fill in your weaknesses, right? Like there are places where you're strong, but you start to add your weaknesses to a team. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Filling in the weaknesses on the team?
Mm-hmm.
Think of it this way. Hire people who are strong in areas that you are weak. If you hire duplicates of yourself, the whole organization is going to have the same weaknesses that you have and not have the same knowledge gaps that you have. So complementary skill sets are more valuable than like skill sets.
So I think this is a good segue too from the hiring process then to building culture, because that's something that you've done a pretty good job at in the past. So can you talk about what it takes to build a good culture?
In today's world, most of our workers feel unseen, unheard, unrecognized. In a word, unappreciated. The message filtering down from the top is you're expensive. We need to automate. We get from them are the workers who are coming and going, I'm living for Friday and my paycheck, rather than the workers who come in and care about the work they do. Flipping that around and recognizing that we hire the entire person when we hire them. They come with family, they come with parents, they come with cars that break down. Believe it or not, they want these things called vacations and holiday, and they have problems. But when we show them some dignity and some respect and we give them some space to solve their problems, what they bring to work is appreciation, they care, and they perform their work at a significantly higher level. They invest their heart in the business. They bring you their ideas. They bring you their suggestions. All of this stuff is incredibly valuable.
Yeah. What you said there, bringing their heart to the business, like when you treat people well, they are investing back in your business. When you don't treat them well, they're not, right? They're just clocking in and clocking out, doing some of them the bare minimum if they don't like their job, right?
It's the difference between just getting the job done and performing the job well. That gap in between is the difference between keeping your clients for the long term or having clients that are minimally satisfied and will jump to your competitors as soon as your competitor has something that looks more attractive, an offer that may be cheaper, it has a couple more advantages than what you have. There's no loyalty when you're just getting the job done.
Yeah. Relationships across the board, whether it be with your vendors, your clients, your employees, the more that you can cultivate those relationships, the stronger the business, right?
It's all about relationships. Employees will stay at businesses that don't have the highest pay or don't have the most robust benefits if they're feeling appreciated, if they're feeling like they're seen and they're heard and they're making a contribution. Customers will be loyal to businesses that invest in the relationship with them. We're in this world where we don't talk to each other anymore. Businesses don't talk to their customers. We're having chatbots do that. We're in a
Yeah.
race to the bottom on price.
Yeah. I used to, there's a tagline I used to use that was relationships plus results equals growth, right? If
That
you can show the client results and you have build a great relationship, there's no reason that your business won't grow.
it, it really is that way. When you build the people, they build the business.
Yeah.
I
Uh, I want to
Sure.
dive in real quick to something else that you do really well, and that is raising money through your background as a CPA and all the other things that you've done. What is the secret to raising money in a economy crazy like ours is?
We have to recognize, first of all, where the money comes from and what the mindset is. For small businesses and entrepreneurs, a huge source of our funding is SBA backed. And there are a variety of banks that will offer SBA backed lending. If you're not going a route like that, then you start to look at, as you're starting out, friends and family and close associates. Getting out, the next ring out, especially for young businesses, are usually your angel type investors. They are going to be attracted to somebody with the right skill set, the right background, and an idea that they believe can be executed. There's a group of investors, one ring out, that will invest in young growth businesses. It tends to become a numbers game for them. They know if they are careful about investing in these businesses, that a certain percentage of them will fail, but a certain percentage will succeed very well, and the overall return is very good. But as you move further out and you get toward your traditional banks and finance companies, they tend to be very conservative. Then it's about having assets that have value, a demonstrated history of revenue and profitability. Based on those factors, they will then lend.
So let's talk about let's scale back those rings a little bit to the when early on. I think we mentioned angel investors and then another ring after that. Do you feel like? Yes, banks you need to have a lot more. You have to have almost a proven model already by the time you
That
get
is
to the bank
correct.
level. But what would you need to have to appear investable from these angel investors and those type of people?
It's going to be a background in the area that you are launching your business in. You can't come from a history or literature background and suddenly say, I'm going to dive into a tech business. An angel investor will say, you don't have the credentials, you don't have the background, you're not somebody we would invest with. Now, somebody moving from a history in a tech company saying, I have an idea, I'm going to take it out and launch it on my own, and can demonstrate what that idea is and how it is going to work. And they have a prototype, they've tested some models. Even if it's a service business, there's a prototype there's a model out there. They have a background in it. Somebody launching in home services has a home services background. Now I'm launching my own company.
Yeah.
Knowing some of the initial customers, saying I have a list of customers who are ready to go with us, does a lot to incent somebody who's an angel type investor to want to invest alongside. And then lastly, you have to put your own money into it.
Mm.
You can't ask everybody else to fund you 100%. They're
Yeah.
going to expect you to put your money at risk with their money.
Yeah, I could definitely see that mindset. Like, if you're not willing to invest in your own company, why should I be willing to invest in it? Right?
There's an expression I haven't heard in many years, but the older uh, finance types who invested in other businesses talked about people being willing to eat their own cooking. Well, if
Hmm.
you're going to serve it to me, you better be willing to eat it too.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so let's talk about, like, there are a lot of, especially new business owners that go into it. They have a lot of passion, right? And when they start to grow, they start to feel overwhelmed, right? So what are some signs that a leader has outgrown the way that they've been running the organization?
Oh, emails that take forever to get responded to, phone
Mm.
calls that take days and days or even weeks to get back to, work piling up on the corner of the desk, the estimates that aren't completed, orders that aren't placed. What is the owners reaching this point where they can't get their arms around the business anymore? Things are falling through the cracks.
And do you believe that's because they wanted to wear the hats for too long, all the hats, and they were not willing to discard them fast enough?
Well, that's one way to look at it. But let's look at what the psychology is of being a business owner. It's my business. My name is on the door. I'm responsible for delivering the results. I promised everybody this. Plus, we live in a society that rewards people for being the fixer, the
Mm.
one who has the solution to everything. Growing a business beyond what you can do personally, what you can get your arms around, requires letting go of some things. It means hiring people who will do these things for you. There's also this mentality that if we want it done right, we fill in the blank with, well, then do it yourself. But it doesn't work that way when you hire people. They will do it their way. The real measure is to use
Mm.
this objective measuring stick and say, was that a good answer? Was that a good result for the business? Not, was it my way?
That's powerful right there, because I feel like there's a lot of that type of mindset out there where there's only one way to do it, and that's my way, and that keeps people, exactly like you said, from growing, because they're not willing to hand it off because they think their way is the only way. And when someone else is willing to do it and they get the results the same or better, right? You got to be able to let go of that. It's very well put.
Well, that's exactly what happens. When you give people the space to come up with solutions and ideas, oftentimes they amaze us and they do it better than we can do it. But too many of us are stuck in this it's my way or the highway type of thinking.
And the byproduct of that is, let's go back to what you said earlier, is now they feel invested in the business because their ideas and their ingenuity is being used to grow the business.
It absolutely is. And that was key to growing the cleaning company.
Can you dive into that a little bit?
My managers were cleaners at one time, scrubbing toilets, cleaning showers. They had potential, so they became managers. At first, their mentality was, Todd, we have a problem. What do we do?
Mm.
So I said, well, we can do A or we can do B. And we'd talk about the pros and cons and pick one. The next one, then they did some growing and they would come and say, Todd, we have a problem. We think we can do A or we think we could do B. So we would talk about it and the pros and cons and pick one. Eventually we got to level 3. And they say, Todd, we had a problem. We solved it. This is what we did. Now we're at level 4. I don't hear about most of the problems. What happens now is, Todd, something happened. We took care of it. But we think it's something that you would want to know about. So here's what happened. This is what we did. And it's solved.
That is exactly the type of internal growth that you want.
They're problem solvers. Those things are not living on my desk anymore. I'm not spending portions of my day fixing those things. They've got it.
Can we transition now to questions about faith?
Absolutely.
So, tell me a little bit about your faith journey up until now.
Born and raised Christian, originally in fairly conservative branch of Lutheran, Wisconsin Synod. Along the way, had some disagreements with the religious leaders, and for a time was not actively practicing, but have come back and been back practicing for many years now. Currently in a sister synod, the Missouri Synod. Missouri Synod and Wisconsin Synod were aligned at one time. They had a falling out years ago, but they're contemplating becoming affiliated with each other again as we speak. Basically the same teachings. So it's all Christ-based. It's all about fellowship. It's about, the Good Samaritan is a good example. Taking care of your fellow human being when they have a need and when you have an ability to help them. So that has always been a driver, and that has always been part of doing a little extra than is expected and doing it well. It matters. It's important.
Do your work as unto the Lord, right?
Yes. Because in the Bible, it says that when you do these things for these people around you in need, it's as if you did them for me. And that's what Jesus was saying to his disciples.
Amen. So through your business journey, how has your faith shaped the way you define success?
It has definitely shaped how we care for our employees, how we talk to them, how we treat them. So a couple of quick examples. In winter, when they slide off the road and they're in the ditch, we go out and we'll push their cars out of the ditch. We'll change tires for them. We've had cleaners whose cars, well, I have to back up so that it makes sense. We don't have a fleet of cars. We pay them to drive their cars. But we've had cleaners whose cars broke down. We've driven them around from house to house to house so they could get their paycheck. We've taken their cars to the mechanics for them. We've had cleaners who've had deaths in the families, and we've collected money for them. We've gone to the funerals. We've been there for them. We've been at their graduations, their weddings.
It's creating like a family-like atmosphere, right? And really taking care of people like their family.
It is, even though we don't use that language, but yes, it is. There was a time not long after I took over when my managers reached this point where they felt like they finally knew who I was and how I was going to run the business, that they said to me privately in a conversation, "We're family." And I thought, oh my God, what an amazing thing.
Yeah. You develop so many things by growing a great culture like you have. It's easy to grow a business when people are bought in and helping you grow it.
Well, it produces 5 very distinct things. Your people stay longer. Your turnover drops. That's an expense to the business, is turnover. Your hiring costs drop. They start telling friends and family what a great place. These friends and family ask to work there. So you don't even have to spend money advertising for people. They care. So they take that heart and caring with them out when they do the work and do the cleaning. The customers rave about the results. Customers stay longer. That means that every time we add customers, it increases the revenue faster because we're not replacing lost customers. We're getting referrals from customers. And then number 5 is free advertising. You cannot beat when they go out to Google, number 5, and post a picture and tell the world what a great job you did, and then hit the 5-star button.
Yeah, and hiring becomes easier when you have people saying, when they know people are looking for a job and they work there and they're like, I know a great place to work, right?
We have a wait list.
Wow.
We have 5 to 10 people who walk in a week asking to apply. But other cleaning authority offices are saying, well, where are all the good people? Why can't
Mm-hmm.
they find anybody? I'm saying you're not doing it right.
Yeah, I think about it often. Like you could tell it in a restaurant environment. Like if you go into a restaurant, you always get good service, and you know it's because you see the same employees because they're staying around because they love working there, and doing a good job. Where you go in another restaurant, and it seems like you're seeing new people every time, and you can tell it's probably a culture problem.
It it is a culture problem. And you've got to love going to those restaurants where you see the same people because they recognize you and then they make you feel at home when you're there.
Mm-hmm.
They start to
Yep, and
remember the things you like and the things you don't like.
yep, they know what table you like to sit at, what you like to drink right off the bat. You almost have to tell them, "No, I'm getting something different today."
Yeah, they'll often fly by and say, "Would you like the usual?"
Yep.
No, this time I think I'll try something else.
Yeah, it means a lot when somebody can remember your name and remember the things that you like. It's really really cool.
Well, there was that whole TV sitcom series with the theme song about going to a place where they know your name.
That's right. Yep, yep. And
And
the
I
same
love
people
that.
kept going there.
There's some it feels so great to walk in and have people know who you are.
So let's transition again. Talk a little bit more about the home service business, but I want to try and help as many people with this podcast as possible. So there are people that have lots of demand for their home service business, but they still feel like they're stuck, like they're not growing. What do you feel like the common denominator is often there, or how can you kind of help them get out of that? I guess.
As you put it, they have demand, but they're still feeling stuck. That suggests to me that they probably are experiencing turnover
Mm.
at levels that are preventing them from growing. So think about it this way. If you're losing 2 or 3 customers a week that are due to things you can control, quality, service levels, just plain old customer service, responding to emails and phone calls, but you're only signing up 2 or 3 customers a week, you've hit this numerical ceiling where you're not going any higher because you're losing them as fast as you are bringing them on board. Getting that retention number up, meaning losing the fewest number of customers to things you can control, is critical. Quality is critical.
Mm.
It goes back to the service levels and it goes back to how the staff is taking care of the customers. This whole service and customer is like 2 sides of a coin. On one side, the customer says, I want quality service and products, and I want it consistently every time I do business with you. And I want one more thing. I want good customer service. When I need help, I want to be able to pick up the phone and talk to somebody who will help me. Flip that coin over. What does the business owner want? We want to deliver our goods and services efficiently, meaning we want to use the fewest possible resources. because resources cost us money, but we want to deliver it effectively. And that means that we want to do it in a way that we meet the expectations, and I would argue exceed the expectations of our customers.
Yep. I think about the Chick-fil-A model a lot when you say that, because I think the reason they succeeded is because they saw a market where it was kind of the McDonald's, the Burger Kings, et cetera, of the world were just automated. The same thing. The employers weren't even that happy. It seemed like they weren't that happy to be there, and they just flipped it on its head. And you got employees that are happy to be there. That and just the customers, they revolutionized the customer experience in the fast food world, and it sounds a lot like what you're talking about.
It's the one thing that's just important to remember here is if you can generate some loyalty, there's a certain stickiness that goes with it. The customers will keep coming back to you over and over again. They'll keep dialing the same number every time they want that service.
Yeah, and I think about this too. If there may be a better chicken sandwich out there than Chick-fil-A's, but they're going to win because the experience and the customer service is so much better.
Okay. Absolutely. It is poor service is that pebble in the shoe. You just want to get rid of it as quickly as you can.
Let's transition one more question about raising money. And a lot of business owners are like, yeah, I want to raise money right now, but what things can they fix? Should they fix in their business before they even go asking for money?
So your service model is one of the biggest things to fix. Most businesses we help do not have their service model dialed in. Case in point, I had a client down in Winter Garden, Florida. Just by standardizing his service model, we found an extra $40,000 to $50,000 a year in profit right there.
Wow.
With a poor service model, you're going to have retention problems, primarily with your customers. That's keeping people from growing. So you're losing revenue right there. Businesses need to make sure that they're priced effectively. That means choose your place in the market. Are you going to be a premium service? Are you going to compete in the middle market? Are you going to be more of a discount service? And then price and deliver accordingly.
The last question I have for you, Todd.
Sure.
Todd, if a business owner or nonprofit leader listening right now is growing, but they feel overwhelmed, disconnected, or stretched too thin, what is the first step they should take to get clarity?
That's a good time to take one step back from your desk and really look at what is on your desk and say to yourself, are these tasks that I need to do? Overwhelm comes from, I'm trying to do too much. There aren't enough hours in the day. There are many, many ways to get very good help at affordable prices. For small businesses, even a virtual assistant that can be located in another time zone or even another country can be a very, very affordable way to get repetitive but important tasks off of your desk. Get some help with the email, watching the calendar, making appointments, completing documents and forms. Anything that's repetitive can be documented and handed to somebody else.
Yeah, I have to say that virtual assistants has helped my business grow quite a bit. And anytime I start to feel that overwhelm, that's when I know it might be time for to bring someone else on, because they have helped me immensely. And I love that you mentioned clarity earlier, and I think that word just in and of itself is so key. Like, the more clarity you have as a business owner, the whether it's around your processes, your pricing, your offer, who your ideal client is. We talked about that earlier on. Like the more clarity that you can get around all those things, the easier it is to grow. Wouldn't you agree?
It is. And we apply that every day. So let me give you a quick concrete example here. We excel at cleaning 3 and 4 bedroom houses, which are anywhere from a bath and a half to 2.5 baths. Your basic suburban type house where you have mom and dad working, a couple of kids off to school, involved in every extracurricular you can imagine, a puppy dog and a kitty cat. And we can just knock those things out one after another. Now, can we do the huge mansions that sit on the reservoirs, overlooking the reservoirs around us, the things that are 10, 12, 13,000 square feet? Yeah. It's not our sweet spot.
Hmm.
Just like on the small end, taking care of that 750 or 800 square foot apartment is not our sweet spot either. So we know our target market and we know what our customers look like and what they behave like. And we know where geographically they live. That clarity is what every business owner needs. Don't chase what doesn't fit.
So speaking of that, I imagine you can really help business owners get that clarity. So I know you offer a complimentary business clarity and growth conversation
Absolutely.
around leadership gaps, hidden efficiencies, ways that they can scale and not be burnt out. I'm sure there's a lot of people listening right now or watching that have felt some burnout or feeling it right now. So where do people go to schedule a conversation with you?
Go to www.silversunconsulting.com. By the way, sun is S-U-N. On the About page, you'll find a bio. You'll find my email. You'll find a phone number that rings right here. Give me a call. I will be happy to talk to you. While you're
So
there,
you're not
feel free to peruse the media page and the other things about the speaking and events that I've done. You may find that helpful and informative too.
That is awesome. I encourage everyone listening or watching because getting clarity around your business and how to move forward. On, on what are you doing? If you're not doing, if you're not getting that, if you don't have that right now, you need to get it. And Todd can certainly help you get there. So, Todd, I loved having you on the show today. Thank you again, Todd, for being here. And remember, if you really want that clarity, go to silversunconsulting.com. And you said it's on the About page, Todd.
The About page is all of my contact information, including my cell phone number.
So you're not just, that's what I wanted to mention is you're not just calling and getting an assistant that's going to connect you with Todd. You're getting a connection to Todd himself. His cell phone number is right there. So um, go to silversunconsulting.com and reach out to Todd.
Well, thank you, Doug. It's been a real honor to be on your show.
All right. Thanks, everyone. And until next time, keep moving forward. Thanks for checking out the Profitable Christian Business Podcast. Remember to like, subscribe, and share.